yourself.
What's going on with all my billionaires out there? This the guy Hood's Billionaire. Welcome to Hood's Billionaire TV. Big favor, big abundance. On today's episode, we're gonna be talking about DJ Akademiks offering Meek Mill $1 million for a podcast deal. Let's talk about it. So these two just would not stop. These two are just at it. I mean, at this point, I want Meek to stop just for himself, right? It's like, man, you going back and forth with a guy whose whole career is based off creating content. So every time you go back at him, you're creating more content for him to generate revenue off of. You don't get a dime off this. Akademiks making a killing off of this. Somebody need to let Meek know that. But this comes on the heels of Meek tweeting that he was looking for a podcast deal. You know, he trying to change the narrative on black culture and inner city culture, and he feel like he has a lot to say and his voice will be powerful. And you know, if Meek speaks on the right topics and articulates himself properly, I agree with that. You know, because there are a lot of youngins that's gonna listen to Meek Mill. So I applaud that. If it's for the right reasons and he's gonna, you know, have the right conversations, then I agree with that. So DJ Akademiks, who previously offered Meek a meal to box, you know, he said he wouldn't do a boxing match. I think 1.5. He feel like he could beat Meek up if they got in the ring together. Of course, you know, Meek didn't respond to that or accept that. So he offered him a podcast deal. He said he'd give him $1 million up front. And listen to the terms of this deal. He said he'd give him $1 million up front for 52 episodes. So that's an episode a week. And they bust the intellectual property down 50-50. So the video and the audio, they both own. They bust down any ads that they bring in 50-50. So any ads from anybody like sponsors, Fashion Nova, you know, stuff like that, they bust that down 50-50. And then Meek still owns the name, right, of the podcast. He owns the podcast, the actual name, the actual brand. Akademiks, him and Akademiks just split the intellectual property, so the video and the audio. And then he has an option to renew on the next year, with a 1-year option to renew if it does well, right? So, you know, Meek already getting money, so that's probably not gonna entice him, which he already responded to it like he probably richer than everybody that Akademiks know. You know, told him he probably owned a hat that he had on, because Meek Mill does have some ownership in Lids, I believe, so he might be telling the truth there. You know, Meek has made some boss moves. Not only Lids, I think he also Mitchell and Ness too. I believe he has some ownership in Mitchell and Ness too. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Meek has some ownership in Mitchell and Ness and Lids. Because I know him and that Mitchell and Ness deal with him and Lil Baby, and I think Jay was involved in it. So yeah, so you know, Meek probably is telling the truth there. You know, he probably did. You know. So, you know, it's one of those situations where, you know, Meek not finna take no deal from DJ Akademiks or nothing like that. Which that's actually, you know, if you were just starting out in podcasting, that's actually not a bad deal. That's actually not a bad deal. If I'm able to own the brand, you giving me $1 million up front, we only doing a year on 52 episodes, 1 a week. You know what I mean? That's not bad. And we busting down the IP. Only for this first season, we busting down the IP. I'm okay with that. I would be okay with that. I'm gonna just keep it 100 with you. I would be okay with that. So, I mean, that's just not a good deal for Meek. You know, Meek not feeling that, especially ain't finna take no $1 million from no Akademiks. You know, based on the back and forth they having. But at this point, when does it become enough, right? Because if Meek understands that his voice is powerful and that he has a lot to say and that kids follow him, does he not see that they follow him when he riding through the streets of Philly, rapping gun talk, and on Twitter talking about what he will and won't do, how he'll crash out and die behind something and do 30 years and all of that? Like, he has to get out of that. I want to say character. Because I know Meek Mill got some sense. When he sit down and be talking about prison reform, he seemed like he has sense. He has sense then. So it's like, if you have sense, you have to have enough sense to know that you can't be sitting up here going back and forth with a guy whose whole platform is built off of content, and him getting this content off a big rapper like Meek Mill is only going to make him money. The more Meek engages in this, he shouldn't even be speaking to it. That's number one. Number two, the kids are following you. They are looking up to you. I'm sure there are a lot of kids in Philadelphia that look up to Meek Mill. And you on Twitter talking about crashing out and dying behind something. Behind beef with a guy that's a blogger. That just don't make sense for Meek Mill. I just don't understand where he's going with that. And in all honesty, I really just want him to self-evaluate and kind of read the temperature of the situation and just realize, you got a lot that you can accomplish, and there's a lot more left for you to do. So this should be the just not even a focus. This shouldn't even show up on your radar in regards to things that are important in your life. It's just kind of how I feel about the situation. Now, if I'm Akademiks, man, get your money. Salute to Akademiks. A lot of people give Akademiks a bad rap, but one thing I can say about that guy is he is smart. He's smart. You got to give him that. I respect intelligence. I respect it. I respect intelligence. I really do. Akademiks is smart. Is he emotional? Yes. And so is Meek. And I think that's why they be going back and forth so much, because they both are emotional. Both of them have issues with controlling their emotions. If somebody can, throw the right jab or say the right thing, they both have issues with their emotions. So I can see why they be going back and forth. I see why these situations kind of get how they get. But at the same time, y'all both still two grown men arguing on the internet. I just can't see why that's something that you two want to do. Akademiks, I get it. And I see what you're doing, and it's like, get your bag, homie. If that's the way you want to get your bag, get your bag. I respect it. I salute it. Get your money, Ak. You gonna get your money. If I'm Meek, I'm really self-evaluating and evaluating the situation and asking myself, what am I even doing? Why am I even giving this any energy? There's so many different things that I could be focused on other than this. And then stop telling people what you're gonna do. Just do it. Stop announcing to the world what you're trying to do, man. Talk to whoever you need to talk to. If you really plugged in with the billionaires like that, holler at them and see how they can plug you. Stop letting people know your moves. Stop letting people know what you want to do. And stop with the violence or going back and forth with people that you have issues with. The pound side pop, Akademiks. Let that stuff go. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just because I'm a sane, healed black man who done been through his fair share of situations, and I just know how this stuff can end up. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. It's the guy who's being there, big favor, big abundance. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. This the guy who's being there, big favor, big abundance. I'm gone.